This is Surf. Hope you're doing well. Before I go on, all rights reserved to the Most High, forever, ever. To the uncreated Prime Supreme Creator, the Most High, and not the counterfeit devils. They are the trying wannabe gods of the books. This is going to be a follow-up to the first video about touching, some hijacks in history and science and so on. So these are not going to be deep lessons about a section, but just some touch and goes, like a nutshell of informations to help you put the dots together. What we see here is found in Russia. It's a so-called mosaic, a fresque, and you see that angels, so-called angels, whatever they are, melanated. So this is in regards to the melanated past, which we touched in our last video. Here you see two so-called patriarchs, Moses and King David. Interesting is you see their horns and you see the Masonic M sign, M for 33 and so on. So nothing new under the sun. This is for the Hebrews, Hebrew beer, Egypt. It's all a hijack. These people had their destruction already. It's repeating. St. Mark, you see here, a 666 and a horn, melanated mark. So it's not a color thing. How would you recognize, the vibration if you were blind? There are no colors. What you can do is you hear the vibration, you hear the words of the souls that are surrounding you. This is an interesting thing about King Solomon, a drop about technology. I will read this shortly for you. According to a tale told by Scheherazade, Solomon was also given a flying carpet when God appointed him king over every created thing. Now God dodged the hijacks. The carpet was made of green silk interwoven with pure gold, embroidered with figures. It was a 60-mile long and 60 miles wide carpet and could transport Solomon himself, his throne, 2 lions, 4 princes, and 2 of his armies. A carpet that was 60 miles long. Let this sink in terms of tech. Crazy. What you see here are the so-called Vimanas. This is a postcard from Omsk in Russia, hidden history. So Vimanas are actually nothing new, and you have airports for Vimanas, a Vimana port in structures that you would call castles. Just to give you a drop from another side, to make you think. You can search this out for yourself and put some dots together. Interesting thing about Vimanas is, if you write down, come on, the bell, die Glocke in German, what you will find out is, boom, Vimanas. Interesting, right? The so-called golden age passed. Golden for whom, Let's continue. Bang. Here another image, a train station, a so-called, high-tech sphere station. We speak of postcards from old Russia, Rus, and Rus, family Rus. Nations do not exist. Those are family names. You see, 1914, high-speed trains, exposition, This is something I wanted to touch again about, the melanated past. Now, you see, anyone who looks at photographs of Abraham Lincoln is no doubt struck by his distinctively Semitic features: the thick, coarse black hair, dark skin, dark eyes, prominent nose, and equally prominent cheekbones. So Abe Lincoln was melanated. No, his smooth-shaven face seemed of bronze. Life of Lincoln. C. Richardson says, when 16 years of age, he was 6 feet high, somewhat bony and raw, dark-skinned, melanated. Now this is interesting from another letter. It's if you don't resign, we are going to put a spider in your dumpling and play the devil with you, you God Almighty goddamn son of a bit. Go to hell and bust my ass, suck my prick and call my bollocks. Your Uncle Dick, goddamn a fool, and goddamn Abe Lincoln, who would like you, goddamn you, excuse me for using such hard words with you, but you need it. You are nothing but a goddamn black nigger, you know. Crazy. So Abe Lincoln was melanated. But I've just shown you, you have full of Masons, 20s, and nephews amongst the melanated people. So this already happened. Colors are hijacks. This is something quick in regard to the New Testament. You should check out the p.2 family. Now, who is the p.2 family? How the p.2 family performed miracles. Now, this family, the New Testament, the Church, and Christianity were all the creation of the Calpurnius p.2. All the creation of the Calpurnius p.2 family. Okay? Dig this, you know, the true authorship of the New Testament by Arius, Calpurnius p.2. The New Testament was written by Arius. So you know, who brought this to you, you know, and you have to know that even Shakespeare is within the so-called scriptures, you know, Sir Francis Bacon. They have multiple roles, like I showed you, and Spike Lee has made awesome videos about that actor reality. So put one and one together. You know, these books are heavy magic. You have some drop within it, but it's heavy magic. This is what I wanted to bring you back again. In the last video, I brought together demon, white, human, monster, devil, all these words which mean the same thing. And here we have white, which means a ghost or a dead person who has come back to life. So white means black, means the same. So white, black, demon, monster, human means the same. Check the previous video and check all the other videos in destroying the Nephilim religions. This is something they took down. I wanted just to show you, you know, in terms of COVID, those that were not vaccinated were not affected. You know, the Spanish flu. Autopsies after the war proved that the 1980 flu was not a flu at all. It was caused by random dosages of an experimental bacterial meningitis vaccine, which to this day mimics flu-like symptoms. The massive multiple assault with additional vaccines on the unprepared immune systems of the soldiers and civilians created a killing field. So people, wake up. Help your brothers, sisters, and cousins, the true ones, the Nephilim, the second Adam, to all souls. Life is important. You see, the fourth part, it says, instead of stopping the vaccines, doctors intensified them, calling it the Great Spanish Flu. As a result, only vaccinated died. Let it sink in. This is a relief map from Republic of Colombia, you know, and it's interesting if you take a look at this. It actually looks like a dragon head. You know, if you a little bit into rocks and, you know, mud fossils, whatever you want to call them, this is interesting. We live on, you know, dead bodies and destroyed architecture. This is a dragon in Crystal Mountain in Egypt. See, this dragon is not million years old. No. There are maps that you can find where Sahara Desert is much smaller than today. So these are actually recent event remnants, recent event remaining stuff. Let's put it this way, forgiving my English. Some photos of a pterodactyl, you know. You would call it a dinosaur million years ago. No, we have animals everywhere in various shapes and forms that we do not know about. Just to let you know that our history is BS. These are the cynocephalus, dog-headed people, Sinus, Sin, or Chinas, Saint Christopher, Christ, insanity, with the cross, the Messiah, dog-headed people, God, dog, backwards, the Cynocephalus Anubis carrying the Christ child, Saint Mark, Saint Christopher. This is all actually exposed already, but just giving you a few drops, of these beings that are amongst us, and now they are giving us their perspective, the Nephis and hybrids. See, medieval books, various tribes of different beings, and he still holds a Baphomet, bang. See here, Cynocephalus, Andros, Cyclops, whatever, it's crazy. It's documented about these beings. And here you have a photo image of an aborigine, so-called aborigine, tribes of heads in your chest, some other medieval being stuff. So all these things, you can find. They are not hidden, and you can put them together. When you think of circus freaks, and we have a Nephilim majority, these geometries cannot be coincidence, Here, trannies, Mason trannies, why do they wear wigs, in the parliaments? Androgyne beings, you've seen the priests, the androgyne priests in the last video as well. Here, demons wearing wigs, transformers, pink, purple color, keeping a horn on the book. They're telling us all the time. Here another being, with a head in his chest. If you remember the movie, what's Total Recall with Arnie, they're showing us. See, a head in his stomach, and if you look at his eyes, he has Nephi eyes. So it's actually all in front of us. Just another shot on circus freaks. So you can put these things together when we speak of Nephilim and various tribes. Here, take a look at this. These are helmets, so-called medieval helmets for, where are you? These kind of beings, the Cynocephaluses and so on. Amazing, incredible. This is a shot from Ofra, you have Tom Hanks, these beasts there, but the interesting thing is, this is why I wanted to show you this. You see Ofra has 1, 2, and here is a third hand. So try to zoom it, see it with your eyes for yourself, One hand, here you have a second hand, and there is a third hand on the waist, of this blonde creature. Crazy, right? 1, 2, and here is a third hand. See, 6 fingers, 6 toes, Beyonce. Or is it Ofra? Sorry. It seems Ofra. Just put 1 and 1 together. Baphomet sign. How could this being be alive, when we speak of many factors to it? Non-humans around us. See, they're mocking us. Cone heads. This is an interesting map. Now we have Mr. J showing us the buffer. The drawing is really like caricature drawing. And you have here at the end of the world all these beings. Now if we ask ourselves where they come from, we might get some answers. Now, is this the hollow earth, or are these the islands outside the known land? Well, it don't matter. No, it's there. I've shown you the video where the moon is plasma and you see a earth map reflection in the moon. Here's some petrified giants from the big event. Look at this. This is not million years old, Here an image of America, whilst it was called India Superior. So America is one of the Indies. Tangut, the city of Prester John, Camelot you would call it, with King Arthur. Prester John, the great Meshi, King David. Now you see Prester John. When you dig about Prester John, you will find out that he coincides with the so-called King David and with Moshe and the Messiah. So those are titles, and it could be the same character. So Prester John was said to be of the ancient race of those Magi who were mentioned in the Gospel, and to rule the same nations as they did, and to have such glory and wealth that he used only an emerald scepter. If you remember the Revelations, it says he's going to rule with an iron rod. Iron rod. So, iron rod, millennial reign, and then you have the end of the so-called millennial reign, the adding of new history, trying to hide the past and make us fall into the same trap again. If this reign was destroyed, it is because it's not of the Most High. So you should not fall for the Christ emerald scepter thing. See, I've shown you this picture in my last vid, but it's from 1555. Okay, so they added the one later. And you have these minotaurs with electric staffs playing around. Again, to tell you that electricity is nothing new. This is what you would call Atlantis, United Islands, Egypt. Remnants of star forts. You see, these star forts are remnants of something before. We didn't build them. And the star forts are a worldwide phenomenon. Moscow, what's left after an event, because it was much bigger. You see this earth, this building was much bigger than it is, and you see the high technology on it, collecting ether energy out of air and converting it. This was high tech. They are hiding it, and they are using some principles of it even today. See, wireless poles. When you go into mud flood content, you will find a lot of these images. The two double-headed eagle. See, electricity, Atlantis, you would call it Tartaria. Illuminated castle. From, you can see it's 18 something, but you see it's an eye even on the picture. It's in Rio de Janeiro. 9418 something, I8. In reference to giants, see the instruments. And people don't talk about this, These are not artistic expressions. Somebody played these instruments. See giant books. So the maps and content has been transcribed and copied from these books. And if this kingdom fell, there is a reason to it. Technological society, the real ones are connected to nature, to animals and trees. These are leftovers. You see how big this structure is and how small these people are. This is Virginia. In the past, Atlantic Ocean was called the Sea of China and the Indies. Virginia. You are not dreaming. Virginia, you see, the Sea of China and the Indies. China, Kina, Kana, Khan, Great Khan, Prester John, Grand Canyon, Grand Can John, and so on. The Washington. Here again, you see, India, La Florida. So the Americas were called the Indies, or better, it was one of the Indies, of the three Indies. This is a map found in Tibet, just to give you perspective on land outside our known land. So our plane is much bigger than we think. Now, how much bigger, don't ask me, but it's not only flat Earth or globe, you have A, B, and C, and D, and so on. So they are hiding land. This is something in correlation to a cross and light. Okay? Why do I mention light? This is a photon image, and you should dig on the double slit experiment. Just to give you the drop. Why is the double slit experiment weird? By simply observing the process of the experiment, everything changes. It's one of the most bizarre experiments in modern physics and cuts the heart of the weirdness of quantum mechanics. Basically, waves that pass through two narrow parallel slits will form an interference pattern on a screen. But observing the process of the experiment changes everything. Those photons behave differently when you observe them. When you do not observe them, they behave in a certain way, which means that they are conscious of you observing them. Let it sink in. We speak of light. Another image that should give you some drop about what's below our cities, all these other cities that were destroyed before us. We are still living in structures that were left behind. Here an image of a Babel Tower, those are more towers, it's not one, energy collectors of some kind. But you see, the interesting thing is these structures, then you have bigger structures built by some kind of giants, then have even bigger giants building even bigger structures. It's crazy. Then you have a small tower here, and look at this immense structure, and you have all these antennas piled up on the roof, like today. And then you have another Babylon Tower there, like atomic energy centrals, This is an image of a Babylonian city. Those were product cities. And you have a tower for energy, you have water around it, you have walls, perfect structure inside, you have water or a river going through the city, like in Venice. These people in the past knew about technology more than we know. And even more interesting, like I said, they had energy. And I will go back to zoom in a little bit better because I have a higher resolution image here, and I will be able to zoom in further. Can you notice these so-called balls on the towers, round endings of each tower? They are like some kind of collectors of energy, like on the domes, and all the churches and cathedrals. Churches have never been churches, those are machines. But you will see here, If you watch Star Trek, you have a line that's connecting the two balls, and you have an energetic gate. This is not an error, This represents energy. They have not normal gates. They did have energetic barriers, at the time. Crazy, right? So that these people could enter only if they did shut down the energy. Back to the Future makes sense now. Where were we? So, here again an image in Europe, of some kind of after destruction event, but you have here something that you would call Egyptian statue. Yeah, looks like androgyne to me, water coming out of her nipples. It's like Diana, the Amazon king, queen, tranny, androgynes, which we have even today. Here, put this in energy, electricity perspective. It's a pyramid in Rome. You had these kind of buildings everywhere, and this pyramid was even bigger because they were digging up, you see. So pyramids are nothing, they are everywhere. You can imagine pyramids like iPhone, LG, and different kinds of smartphones. So you have different producers of energy producers. This is after flood event. You see all the wood on the walls. So this is something that remained after some kind of an destruction event. Here, this is from I-666. You have an interesting tower. You can already see that it has something to do with energy and electricity. And then you have a dragon on the other side with few heads doing some kind of his own stuff, Dragons are nothing new under the sun. Dragon means as well to see clearly, if you go into etymology. This is the Grand Canyon seen from above, and I will show you something that is interesting. Many artifacts that you would call Egyptian artifacts were found here in the Grand Canyon and brought to the new so-called Egypt in Europe in order to support the fake narrative. But this Grand Canyon is hiding cities that are below it, so something happened. It's damaged, burnt, destroyed. Now this is called Lichtenberg wood burning. If you dig into it, you will see that it reproduces the same effect like Grand Canyon, like as if an electric sword passed to it. There is speech of a sword in the scriptures, coming down to earth and so on. So 2,000 volts, 10,000 volts. So you can do your own investigation about it. I'm just giving you more stuff to put together. It's called as well fractal burning, also called Lichtenberg, is a process that creates images such as those on wood using high voltage electricity and a conductive solution. So Yahweh doing this to the plane. The petrified man. Now, to show how really hard it is to foist a moral or a truth upon an unsuspecting public through a burlesque without entirely and absurdly missing one's mark, I will here set down two experiences of my own in this thing. In the fall of I-862 in Nevada and California, the people got to running wild about extraordinary petrifications and other natural marvels. One could scarcely pick up a paper without finding in it one or two glorified discoveries. And I've shown you that petrification can occur in a very short time range, since they have found petrified cowboys, So it was like a race on finding artifacts. One could scarcely pick up a paper without finding in it one or two glorified discoveries. The events are recent. The Old Testament, the so-called books are speaking of events that happened recently. Petrified statues, there are many statues that are petrified beings around the world. You see a Buddha image with a skeleton inside. Just to show you that this African hero is an Illuminati bird, the Rastafari hero. Small books. So small and big people. Actual reality. Johnson is Rockefeller, Payet the astronaut is a Rockefeller. So they're playing with our minds. Trudeau and Castro, the same entity. That these are them, the FTM, MTF, androgenes, and so on. It's their reality. Sorry for the hardcore images, but it's so you know that's them. 666, the name of the Antichrist. It's interesting when you see the two pyramids. They have 60 degrees angles, and they form the six-pointed star, the Stargate, and it's the symbol for androgen beings as well. The two triangles, one above another. So add it to your collection of knowledge. 33 is CC in the alphabet. It means carbon copy. You can dig the carbon copy in more levels. The crown gives us a carbon copy of our fake selves by way of a birth certificate and keeps the master copy. We get the carbon copy. So it's when you dig into laws and sovereignty, and the Justinian deception, and there is a lot of content. It's no secret anymore. So you can find out about the straw man and all these implications with their laws and hijacks. Albert Einstein is a composer, and not only, you have the slit eye here, only in his left eye, he is as well Pablo Picasso. Einstein, a composer, slit eye beast, being as well Pablo Picasso. So they have different roles and they play us a lot, and everything comes from their perspective. This is Yuri Gagarin, the Russian astronaut, and this is Armstrong, which are the same character. Can you imagine the Russians and the so-called Americans have sent the same man into space? Oh, it's crazy. It's sarcastic, Armstrong, Gagarin, same entity. And if we zoom in, you will see the beast eyes, It's incredible. Here you have it. NASA, which in Hebrew means lie, deceit. Crystallized water, it's water frozen after receiving a feeling of love. We respond to vibrations. This is why they taught us languages, and this is why they are so keen on you pronouncing a name. And, giving the Most High a name in order to make you have a soul tie. You see this land, so you could call this body parts. Crystals, gems, and stones, and marble, when you put this in your homes, we have body parts in our homes. They know this. So it is good to know about it. Don't have crystals around you and stuff. Those are hijacks, because if the energy of these beings should still be in those elements and you're picking up on it, they are tricking us. This is an image that I made. It's a sunset, and when you zoom in, it is awesome because you see clouds in front of the sun and clouds behind the sun. So this means that space is in our atmosphere, and the sun is local. Just a simple proof. Another one here. see clouds behind and clouds in front of the sun. Australia, before Australia was called Ulimaroa. Now, in the last video I've shown you that Antarctica was called Australia, and before that it was called the Holy Land, Ulimaroa. This is out of the book Oaspe. It's an interesting drop. All books are hijacked, but you will find drop in them. Now listen to this. And the names of the heads of the beast were Brahmin, Buddhist, Christian, and Mohammedan. We have shown you this, Paul and Edgar and me and Sword in many of our videos, that all religions are hijacked and are Nephilim inventions, and they are serving their God and their entities. The dragon, the angels, they want to ascend to an angel status. We are just simply children of the Most High and keeping the instructions to the best of our possibility. Yahweh has his warring angels and he created demons and so on. It's not the way of the Most High. So do not be keen on becoming an angel. Angels shapeshift in the books. So what's the difference between the Nephilim shapeshifters on YouTube and everywhere and the angels in the book? There is no difference. Angels, they made angels intermediators between the man, the real man, and the Most High. And that's a hijack. So again, and the names of the heads of the beast were Brahmin, Buddhist, Christian, and Mohammedan. So it is in older books as well present. This is something about, when you measure your temperature with your infrared reader, stimulating the pineal gland by infrared irradiation of preorbital tissue. So what it can do is it produces a calming effect and so on. You can dig deeper into it and you will not like what you find. So be careful on letting them putting infrared rays on your head, pineal gland. I'm just giving the drop to put one and one together. These are some basic electrical symbols. I already made videos about a lot of stuff that I actually put in here in this video, but I'm repeating it and putting it together with maybe something extra to it, so I hope it will be appreciated in order to help yourself. These are electrical symbols that you find in every home you have, right? And these are angel sigil vectors. Circuits which you have in your homes. Electrical circuits, symbols. So these are angel vectors. It's the same thing. It's all so-called magic science. Here you have them. So electricity, El, Elohim, Alachim. So electricity and angels are connected. Going into words, democracy, by definition, like a state governed under a system of democracy. Now, a system of government by the whole population or the eligible members of a state. But if we go to Latin, demo meaning, it tells you from Old Portuguese, demo, demon, devil, from Latin, daimon, demon, from ancient Greek, daimon, God, goddess, divine power. So when you say democracy, it's like demon crazy, if you pronounce it a slightly different way. And kratis in Latin means grill, so you have actually a demon barbecue. And damn, the Nephis love eating animals. Latin grammar, prefix AB. Why do I show you AB? Because when they tell us aboriginal, it means non-original. It's the proxy, it's the hijack. Now listen, what does the prefix AB mean? Away. The English prefix AB means, which means away, appears in many English vocabulary words such as absent, abduct, and absolute. So you have to remember, prefix AB means away. So aborigine means away from origin. No, aboriginal, away from original. They're tricking you. It's master magic. Latin grammar AB. The prefix AB or abs is a Latin origin which means away, from, or separation. Keep it in mind. Now, the Latin grammar prefix UN. When this prefix is used to modify a verb, UN means to undo or reverse the action. So, you have, come on, translate. United.
United.
Okay, this means non-united, since AB means no. Come on. Since UN means no, like AB. Okay, so United Nations means non-United Nations. And if you give it just a little twist of spell, I already have shown you this, you can get to this here. United Nations.
United.
So this would be no knights. These nations are no knights. And if we write down Jesus, just have some play here, Christ, what so many people are worshiping, Jesus Christus,
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christus.
Now we switch Latin or to the left, English to the right. Okay, and I will just take away Christus.
Jesus.
I pig.
Boom.
I pig.
So Jesus means
I pig.
pig.
I pig.
And then you have it in Greek, which means Heil Zeus. Okay, if we continue play a little bit more, let's drill it again. You get le pig, I pig.
I pig.
Id est porcus.
I am a pig. Then you have the hocus pocus, the hocus pocus word. You switch it again, and it...
That is pig.
So Jesus means that is pig. Let's continue. So UN means not. So when you read stuff, you will have more insight into the hijacks they're giving you. So we have this interesting thing about in the year of the Lord, which means AD stands for Anno Domini, Latin for in the year of the Lord. Right, so we go to Anno Domini, just to show this to you. Anno Domini.
In the year of our Lord.
But if...
Anno Domini.
Okay, we take an N away.
Anno Domini.
It says...
The anus of the Lord. The anus of the Lord.
Anno Domini.
The anus of the Lord.
If you add an N, there is actually no difference. It means the same shit.
Anno Domini.
In the year of our Lord.
Anno Domini.
The anus of the Lord.
I'm just showing you, what it is and how they are tricking us. So, Anno Domini, in the anus of their Lord, lowered, and you have Anno Domini on coins. So, Anno Domini means actually AD, or in the anus of their Lord. But interesting is, Latin Anno Domini, the anus of our Lord, like I've shown you. I made a screenshot because sometimes it don't show up, because they are shadow banning and hiding stuff. You have 18th century orphan trains. You will find a lot of orphans after the event. 18th century being sent to the four corners of the world, and we have the change of melanated people, something happened to them, Armageddon, and you have a majority of non-melanated people coming up and put, in front as a proxy, and where you will find that actually the melanated originals had war up with melanated non-originals. So it's a brotherly war, since the color of skin don't matter. Your life is in the blood. I made lessons about life and blood, and the vibration is in your blood. Blood cannot mix. If you put Rh negative and positive together, they repel themselves. That is a natural barrier made by the Most High. And there is no skin color barrier when you marry and have children. So let this be clear to you. If you put 10 lire, 99, you will get coins where they show us actually the flat earth, so it's a psyop, so this could be an island, Asgard, whatever, but they are showing us that the creation is not the way mainstream is showing us. So this is, I cannot invent this and make this up, this is, everything is there. But you have to write it in the Italian way, 10 lire, 1999, and you will find that coin. Huge Atlantis buildings, and small people living in it as well, something that was left. This is not an artistic representation. See this? And then you have cities below buildings, so you can imagine what is below us. They're telling us in cartoons and movies. Just to touch again 432 hertz, research has shown that 432 hertz resonates harmoniously with nature, while 440 hertz creates chaos. 440 is 88, the 8, the serpent eats his own tail, the duality, the Masonic symbol, it's all about not fallen, about the beast, Yahweh, Yah, whatever you want to call him, Elohim, and so on. Chaos. This vibration creates chaos, and 432 is within nature, and 435 as well, because once the number, the sum is 9, is within the 369 code, and 440 is not within the 369 code. Please remember, our salvation are the instructions of the Most High. I will never stop repeating this. You don't need no special knowledge. Knowledge comes as a consequence when you keep the instructions. So let this be your compass in life. Sabbath, Saturn, angel worship, so they added the day. We already have broken down all these hijacks to you, but just remember these instructions that are of highest vibration that you can find. And remember, not eating the animals, Genesis 1:29. Here, this is something out of a book that I have to show you that Moses was called Janus. So, let's read it from here. This legend of a gathering of them in a country of their own is not exclusively to Eldad, but its origins are quite obscure, as is the name it gives them. Janus is simply a Hebrew word that means fleeing, so that it may not be a proper name, but part of a designation, the tribe that flees. Fleeing, Janus, Prester John, Johannes, King Moshe, Meshe, Mozok the founder, Meshiach the Mohican, Janus, Johannes, John, King John, Prester David, Dalai Lama, the Great Khan, Charlemagne, and so on. This is something in regards to the play of our reality they are doing. You see the hills behind the Hollywood sign. Now let's catch with some random images. This came to my radar a few days ago, and it's interesting. Now Hollywood. Now look at the perspective of these mountains over the sign of Hollywood, and here we have a bigger mountain with snow. Now let's check some other ones, and I invite you to do this for yourself. I just wrote down Hollywood with snow and so on. Mountains with snow, you have one and a second mountain range behind that appear quite high. And then, I did put this arrow here because this mountain here looks the same as this mountain peak, but in a mirror. And then there is a bigger mountain behind, but here you have no second mountain behind. Now, this is nothing. It gets more curious. Now, look at this mountain range and look at this. Like, what the fuck is going on? Look at this. I wouldn't call it Mandela effect. They're just tricking us with technology and photos and stuff. But it's interesting, and nobody is noticing the play they're doing on us. You see low mountains, and then you have big icy mountains behind. See, huge mountains behind. No huge mountains behind. Huge mountains behind, like what? And then no huge mountains behind. I hope these drops will be useful to you, as I'm doing this to help you find answers to your digging, Now here, incursions of the Cuban Tartars. Now, when you say Cuban Tartar, what is Cuba? Cuba was called a Grand Turk island. Now, when you say Turkey, it's not in Europe. The Turkey island and so on belongs to the other side of the ocean. You have the Caribbean Sea, Cuba, and Grand Turk as a union of islands. Now, let's read this. Let me read this for you. So these original settlers left a rich heritage of seafaring, salt raking, and farming which still lingers on today. Words such as canoe, Caribbean, and Caicos are derived from the Arawak language. Even the name of the country comes from these earliest inhabitants. Turks is a reference to the indigenous Turks. Indigenous Turks had cactus, and Caicos is from the Lucayan term Kayaiko, meaning string of islands. So Turk islands, Grand Turk, Grand Turkey, Turkish islands. And here, Turks and Caicos Islands history. Grand Turk Island is an island in the Turks and Caicos Islands. It's the largest island in the Turks Islands. So you see, when they say Turkey and so on, this is why sometimes you cannot find real answers because you seek in the wrong place. Turks and Caicos, a union of islands. Crowley is Churchill. Crowley is Churchill, history, hijack, play. Baphomet, Crowley is Churchill. This is another shot of this being. I want to just zoom deeper into his eyes so you can see it. Nephilim eyes, 2 different slits on 2 different eyes. So this ain't no play. Moscow, again, leftovers after, what happened after the event. And then, we have all these catacombs for some reason. I've shown you the piezoelectricity. They're harvesting energy out of these skeletons, so even out of dead people. It's very, very, very dark. Who would do that? It's sick. cities below cities. Here a picture of a Babylon example that I've shown you before, So you see that all these existed and it's not a play. And this is interesting, there is a hand sign called the shocker, and remember it. And it means actually the shocker, known colloquially as the 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink hand gesture. It's crazy. And there was this hand gesture in one of the melanated images that I had, so I wanted you just to understand what it meant. Is it here? No, we do not have it. But remember the hand gesture. You will find it quite a lot. Let me go back. Here you are. The shocker. These are 2 images, actual aircraft, the Taliban BS they are pushing on us, and inflatable decoy plane. See, those are 2 different airplanes. It's all actually a hijack, and when you make a sum of the numbers, you will get 33. So it's all a play. Silvanus Toltexus. Why I'm mentioning Silvanus Toltexus is because they call him the Solomon the Builder in 775 AD. And he was actually rocking in the 14th century when you dig deeper into it. So Solomon the Builder, Silvanus Toltexus. Toltecs, Toltec tribes and so on, Azteca, Inca, Maya. And these Old Testament people, they did do their thing, and it's not that old. And if it was destroyed, so you have to ask yourself, why would the Most High destroy and end something that's called Golden Age or Millennial Reign? Because it's not of the Most High, it's of Yahweh. And those are His prophets. They do not tell you about not eating animals. And even if they did at their time tell the people not to eat animals, it has been taken out, so you're not doing anything wrong. So far all these prophets are false prophets because they are not giving you the true instructions. I wanted to show you this about the graphene oxide, because you will see how a magnet attaches a bottle of vaccine. No, don't let them bite you. You see the graphene oxide reacts. I already published this video, so here you have a zoom in of Armstrong just to take a look at his beast eyes. Bang. Here you can have a glitch of it as well. Bang. Stimulating the pineal gland, infrared irradiation of preorbital tissue, when they try to measure your temperature on your forehead. This cloth is a device for irradiating the preorbital area, and you will find drop about it, so it's actually not good to us. Please avoid, making them use this upper rail to shoot infrared rays into your head. I hope these few informations will be useful to you, bringing you more drop to your research. And please keep the instructions of the Most High to the best of your possibilities. Be blessed, my brothers and sisters, and all rights reserved to the Most High, the Supreme Prime Creator, the Uncreated One, as Paul and Edgar tell us. Be blessed, family. Be blessed.